From coast to coast, it's time to hear from the three guys who thought they had a chance to make it big. Welcome into the Coulda Been Great show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another Coulda Been Great show. Sorry about the layoff for the last few weeks. We've been busy doing different things, but we're back ready to give you a good jam-packed show here this week. And, obviously a lot has happened since we were last on, guys. You know, we have an NBA champion. I believe the Lakers, that may have been happening while we were doing our last show, but also the Dodgers won. And, a lot's been going on in the sports world.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's in LA.
It's a fun time of year. I guess it's kind of winding down now that baseball and basketball were done. But
yeah, we're in that in between time now. There's not really only football is going on. It's cool with the with the COVID and everything, how it postponed everything. Usually we'd just be doing football for a while and then nothing else until basketball. But the overlap was kind of cool. But it was a different season. It was a different season for sure.
Yeah, and with that being said, that kind of brings us to our first topic. We do have all these champs, whether it was the Lakers or just more recently the Dodgers. We'll start with you, Jason, just to kind of talk about this a little bit. We talked about shortened seasons, different playing atmospheres. Are any of these championships have an asterisk next to them this year, just due to the fact that they have been so weird, or maybe not normal?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I've heard some of my friends and groups have talked about this too. And based on how I view it, as long as the actual core product on the field or court isn't changing, as long as it's not some weird rule change where it's completely different than years past. Like we saw that a little bit in baseball, maybe with the DH, but that wasn't anything too crazy. So I think just because the amount of games was changed in most scenarios, and sure, like empty stadiums, neutral site, whatever, I don't see it as an asterisk. I think the core game remained the same in all the, in baseball and basketball, just a shortened season. And sadly, that may not be the only year. It could happen again next, like the way everything's coming back now. So it may just be I hate this term, but the new norm. I hope not. So I don't see it like that. But
what about you, Jay? How do you kind of feel, Ham?
I agree 100%, but I kind of say I'm agreeing. I think there should be an asterisk. I can never say that damn word.
That's the worst.
Sorry,
word.
y'all. I can't say that. I can never say that word right. Whatever, asterisk. I think there's going to be an asterisk because of what was going on, the added stress, and because of the shorter seasons and all that good stuff. I think it's going to be an asterisk towards the positive instead of it shining like a negative on the season. A lot of
my question for you.
Right. I mean, a lot of the mental, man, a lot of the mental toughness to go through these seasons, to go through playoffs, championships, and all that kind of stuff, with everything going on, not being able to see your family and everything. I mean, I know people might not think it's a big deal because these professional athletes are making a lot of money. All the money you can get by with not seeing your family for a few months, whatever. You try it. You know what I mean? I have kids. I don't like not seeing my kids for a day. You know what I'm saying? But it's tough. The grind of not knowing if you're gonna play the next day because you don't know. You got to rely heavily on what other players in other cities and stuff are gonna do. Maybe the season's gonna get canceled. Maybe not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the asterisk is gonna be more of a positive than a negative, if there is one.
And I think that's a good point because, ultimately, as much as it hurts me to say, I think the two best teams probably won basketball and baseball both. I mean, LA, obviously, in basketball, that could have been more of a shakeup. But, the Dodgers are the best baseball team all year long, and they had to battle back and, come back and beat the Braves. I thought the World Series was great. You probably didn't watch much of it, did you, Jason?
No, you know how I feel about
one
of the teams in that World Series. I couldn't watch them. I knew they were going to win, so I couldn't watch it.
Oh, come on, man. But it broke my heart, man. I'm so proud of my Braves, yo. So proud of my Braves, man. They played hard, man. They tried, you know what I mean? Those youngsters, we're going to be good. We're going to be all right. We're headed in the right direction.
And speaking of youngsters, let's kind of flip the script and go the opposite direction. Talk about the NFL with asterisk seasons. The NFL hasn't crowned a champion yet, but obviously, we're getting closer there. We're almost whether you can believe it or not, like halfway point of the season. And, everybody's talking right now across the country on the New England Patriots. They're 2-4. Cam hasn't looked good. And that brings up the big point. Was the answer Tom Brady or was the answer Bill Belichick? We'll start with you and your kind of opinion on this, JR.
Wow. That's tough. That's a tough question, man.
You got to take the Carolina bias out of it, too.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take the Carolina bias. Luckily, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Panthers fan anyway, so I might be all right with that one. But, wow, man, it's tough just because because Cam's not the answer. Cam was never going to be the answer for them anyway, but I'm going to lean more towards Brady than Belichick for sure. Because Brady had some of the same weapons, and he did so much better with the same weapons pretty much. So I'm going to lean more towards Brady than Belichick for sure.
And I know it's kind of early, obviously, but, Jason, you look at the Patriots team, they do not have weapons. I mean, like, good luck. But
you can't even say Edelman's a weapon. Like, he's not even really, you know what I mean? He'll catch anything you throw to him, but he's not like a weapon,
He had knee surgery
this somehow,
week, too.
Oh, wow,
Tom Brady, somehow Tom Brady still used those, and he was still successful. Right. Like, a few years he had some really good pieces, sure, but most of the time he made players.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're seeing that Cam Newton and Tom Brady aren't even on the same planet. I was honestly surprised when Cam came out and played so well in the first couple games. I didn't think it would last. I just don't think his throwing motion's there. You're seeing it now. And you mentioned it, like the weapons. N'Keal Harry, I mean, that's a bust. Like Belichick screwed up there. Like he has no one to throw it to, but you're right, JR. Brady had no one to throw it to either, and he made it work. So I lean Brady was what was keeping that for the most part. Of course, Belichick had some play in there, but Brady was the mastermind, it looks like. I don't know.
Sure. And,
go ahead, JR.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm remembering back to a previous episode when we were talking about the Patriots and their offense and everything. I think I remember saying something like, I didn't think it was going to work too well because Cam couldn't throw, but if they made it more of an offense like Josh McDaniels had with Tim Tebow in Denver, trying to do some of the RPO and stuff, maybe that would work. In the first couple of weeks, it looked like they were doing it a little bit, then it just stopped. So I don't know.
Right.
Something is Cam hurt? Something, I don't know what's going on, man, but it's not working. That's for sure.
Yeah. And Tom Brady, he probably feels like he's in heaven right now in Tampa. I mean, he's got more weapons than you can even imagine. Probably too many weapons. I don't know if I would have brought in Antonio Brown. I feel like he might mix up the culture a little bit that they've already created down there.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, like, I think it was a great signing just because Evans and Godwin have been banged up throughout the year. They kind of have lingering injuries. And I think Godwin's missing this week, so I'm not sure. Is AB cleared to play this week or not?
Yeah.
Last time I heard, I think so. He is.
Yeah.
But that team, man, I think that team, like with that, I'm not sure if you guys have watched much Tampa Bay, but their defense is incredible too. That team is scary.
All over the ball. That
Devin White is the best linebacker in football. Facts. Like, I can't.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that. What's number 54? What is that, David?
Yeah, that's David. I mean, that core of White
killing
David,
it, man.
Unbelievable.
That's impressive. Yeah. It is impressive. Hey, I told you. I remember picking Tom Brady as a sleeper MVP. Don't forget that. I remember that, y'all.
Well, all right, let's move on, guys. Our next topic here. It kind of stays on the same plane a little bit, but biggest takeaway. Obviously, we talked about being halfway through. Biggest takeaway you've seen. I know that obviously, I'll start a little bit with. Due to the fact that the NFC East, we knew it wasn't going to be good, but, the Cowboys are dragging it down. Dak's out for the year. That's kind of surprised me on just how bad that division is this year. You may be 5-12 and, have a chance to, or what that be 5-11, have a chance to make the playoffs. So I'll start with that. And then on the flip verse, I think, you have to throw Tom in there. You didn't know how he was going to be able to, react to what that was going to look like. And obviously he's had some bad games here and there, but at the same time, like, he's clicked and they're starting to really click as a football team.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I mean,
totally agree. Go ahead, Jason.
For sure. He has the offense humming, man. Like, it's the same old Brady. Like, he's getting everyone involved. You're starting to see Gronk come alive, which I didn't think was going to happen. So,
that's
I agree.
That's surprising. That's cool to see. Man, I've always loved watching Gronk play, man. That big old goofball just loves playing football. You know what I mean? It's cool to see,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, surprise. Like I think my biggest surprise, like for the season and all for the football, it's probably been Mahomes, man. What's he hadn't been playing too good because I have Mahomes on my fantasy team, and shit, I've lost some weeks. I've lost a couple of games because of him, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with that?
So yeah, for fantasy,
They're
you're
just
right.
more balanced, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been playing
True.
bad. I think that you're seeing them have an actual running back with Clyde, and I think he's still been playing great. I just think
Yeah.
that they're more balanced. Than I understood. So yeah, for fantasy though, he's got to be hurting you. So I feel
Killing
for you there.
But
Let's
but
bounce
the
on to the
genius general manager that I am, I have Aaron Rodgers on the bench.
Oh, look at you.
So I'm all right. I'll be all right. But damn, it's just hard. Like, how do you bench Patrick Mahomes? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
but I'm gonna have to think about that in certain matchups. You know.
Let's move on to the next topic. You guys already mentioned it. Best fantasy football player this year. Obviously, this is to each their own. A guy that can really step up and be big for you, or a guy that really doesn't do you anything. I guess we'll start with you, JR. Who's one guy that's caught your attention, or maybe somebody on your team?
Well, good God, like we mentioned, Godwin being hurt earlier, he's killing me. But as far as my attention, like what Russell Wilson's doing has been impressive. What Aaron Rodgers has been doing has been impressive. Alvin Kamara, goodness gracious. Alvin Kamara is killing it. He's just a Swiss Army knife, you know what I mean? And he's been impressive. A lot of the running backs this year. It doesn't surprise me that the running backs are some of the running backs are doing too well with it being such a shortened season, not a lot of hitting in the off season for practices and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of broken tackles and everything like that. So I'm not surprised that running backs are really going off, but yeah, those are a couple of my surprises for sure.
Yeah.
Jason?
For me, MVP, I look at a guy where he was drafted and someone who's outperformed their draft slot, and it's been the biggest thing in fantasy, you guys know, is you want someone that's consistent. You want someone that's going to get you the same kind of points every week. You don't like those big swings.
Yeah.
And I think it's James Conner. He was drafted late, like 5th, 6th rounds in some leagues, and right now he's like the 15th ranked running back in half PPR. Been super consistent every game. He's involved in the passing game, the running game. Plus he's on what could be the best team in football. That offense can move. He's just been super consistent. He stayed healthy. That was like why he fell in the draft, as people were like, can he stay healthy? And he's done a really good job of just being consistent, which I think he's one of the most consistent running backs in fantasy right now. So James Conner.
And then I think, obviously, one of the guys that surprised me, not necessarily the best fantasy football player, is I think Todd Gurley's fit in better in Atlanta than maybe some people had predicted him to. He's on my team, but he's been very
He's on mine
consistent.
too. I'm happy with him so far, baby.
Yeah, it seems like he's always, for what people were looking at him wise coming into the season as maybe a second or third tier running back. He's been pretty consistent. And then on the flip side, I think I didn't get to see last week's final stats, but I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is just dialed in right now, and it was a good move for him to go to Arizona because I think Kyler fits well. They want to sling it and run around all over the place. So those are two of the guys that have kind of caught my attention as well.
Okay, question for you guys about you both have Todd Gurley. I would say he's very touchdown dependent right now. He is not used very much at all. Brian Hill, Ito Smith, tons of carries. I think he's touchdown dependent. So I don't know, is that going to keep up? He's really not involved as much as I would like. Sure, he's been good. He's scored touchdowns.
Yeah.
Does that keep up the second half of the season? I don't know.
Like what I've been seeing, go ahead, Tanner. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think it depends if the Falcons can find a way to stay in it. I mean, they're getting on a little bit of a hot roll right now. I think, like you said, he is a main red zone guy. He knows how to find the goal line and get in and score. I think it'll depend on, where they're at as a football team. And, he was involved in the passing game quite a bit early on, but he hasn't been as much late. They've been, using him. I think he only had like 11 carries, 48 yards, and a score on Thursday night against the Panthers. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If you watch him, like they know it's almost like you can tell when he's gonna get you some points that week. Like if he gets a couple of runs in the beginning of the game, breaks a couple of tackles, maybe a couple 7-yard runs here or there, you might get some points from him. But if not, then it's like you said, he's going to get 15 carries for maybe 50, 60 yards, but he'll get a touchdown.
He'll get a touchdown, yeah.
Because that offense is so prolific. Man, that's not even fair, man, where you could say, how in the hell can you say that Julio Jones might not be the best receiver on your team? You know, he very well might not be the best receiver on that team anymore.
And they're still bad. They started so bad, too, and they have so – I saw somebody the other day said, you know, obviously it's probably not as much of a case now, but if they were to go, you know, winless, can you imagine if, like, Trevor Lawrence stepped in and had the opportunity to throw to, like, Julio Jones, Todd Gurley, Calvin Ridley, you know? I mean, there's a ton of weapons in there.
And it'd be good, too. It'd be good for him because he wouldn't have to play.
Their defense is pretty bad, though.
It's their defense. That's what I don't think Matt Ryan is – sure, he's been disappointing, but that defense is terrible.
Yeah.
Like they've given up so many late leads. It's just not working. I do agree with you guys. I think they're in a hot. They're kind of starting to find themselves, and I think they end up doing decent. But they need to address the defense. They have a former Colorado Buffalo cornerback. Shout out the Buffs. Isaiah Oliver is their number one corner right now, and he's terrible.
Yeah.
He's getting cooked. So I still love you, Isaiah Oliver, if you're watching, but you got to step up.
And, you know, with that being said, some of that may come down to, you know, just having the salary cap because they do pay Julio Jones and Matt Ryan so much money, you know, to do their job, and they maybe not focus as much on the defense, trying to draft young guys. And that kind of brings us to our next point of, you know, how much does a salary cap in sports play into success of certain teams? Obviously, you know, the Dodgers are a big money team. They won an NBA or they won an MLB title. The Lakers are a big team or a big salary cap. They won an NBA title. Like, how much do you guys think that plays a role? I feel like I always cheer for the Rays. I was like, oh yeah, man, Randy Arozarena, like making $70,000 a year. I was like, let's do this. But you know, how much of a factor do you guys see that playing in sports today?
I mean, I think when you're looking at leagues like baseball, I think I was the same way with Tampa because I think it's because me and you cheer for a small market team with the Rockies. And, like, it's good to see, like, a team like that can make it to the big stage. But if you say that if it doesn't affect baseball – I'm just talking baseball specifically. If you say the salary cap doesn't affect the good teams, then you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is like – you know that, sure, New York and Boston and the Dodgers haven't always won a championship every year, but you see the caliber of players they get. Like the Rockies couldn't afford to sign someone like Mookie Betts or the Rays, you know.
To an 11-year deal.
Right. So you're crazy if you say it doesn't affect baseball. That's just I'm just talking baseball. So you guys have takes in other sports. Right. But.
Yeah, with football, I guess it just kind of keeps.
Speaking of football, JR, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just saw Belichick said that, you know, one of the reasons for their lack of depth is because of the salary cap. He came out and said that today. Because they had so many players opt out, he said that they just don't really have it right now. Or where's their money going?
I have no idea. I don't understand, like, salary cap and the numbers and stuff. A lot of the rules and shit, I don't really understand a lot of it too much, but it kind of just keeps them from, I guess it kind of in football, it just keeps dynasties from forming. But just because, New England, you know, they're in the Boston area and everything, but shit. Tom Brady, though. You know what I mean? It's not like they're drawing the big names to come play in New England.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If salary cap and the big names were, you know what I mean, the thing to carry NFL teams, my Dallas Cowboys would be the greatest team in the history of football. You know what I mean? Because with all the money that they have, they would bring. It wouldn't be fair. So I think I think in football, the salary cap doesn't really matter too much.
Well, because there is a cap in football.
Right.
Yeah, there is.
That's where you see, like, I think if you have a salary cap, like you do in football, like you mentioned, I think it's fine. I think it creates where every team has a legitimate chance.
Every team has a legit shot.
But baseball, you don't have that. I don't think you have that in baseball. I think a salary cap.
You don't in basketball either, I don't believe. Or do you?
They have one in basketball.
Is there a hard cap though, or?
Yeah, so that's the thing. You can go to this luxury cap.
Yeah.
It's pretty consistent team to team.
Okay.
But in football, I think you see a lot of parity. You know, I think, which is good. It's a good thing.
Definitely.
And, you guys kind of talked about the MLB on the other side, or not the MLB, but talking about the NBA, you get your max contract players and, how that's kind of broken down. But at the same time,
2 a team or something like that, 2 max
yeah.
players.
But I think at the same time, they have to switch it up when you start getting all these big name guys wanting to play with each other.
Yeah.
So then you have to see somebody's got to take less.
Right.
But so Jason, to your point, this year, the Yankees, let's just say the Dodgers total salary for MLB payroll was $105.5 million. In turn, the Tampa Bay Rays was 28.6. That's just absurd.
I saw that stat. Yeah, it's
crazy.
The thing is, though,
that's amazing, man.
Like, you can't blame them. You can't blame the Dodgers.
No.
Like, you have that kind of support and that kind of a market.
Hell yeah.
Spend the money. Like, damn, I would too. But
damn right.
It's just like it'd be tough for the MLB to implement a salary. Like, there'd be a lot of changes and stuff that we know nothing about that they'd have to implement behind the scenes. Yeah. It does give me hope that a team like the Rays can get there, but yeah. I think of all the sports, you see the least parity in baseball.
Yeah, the Rays, you know what I mean? They definitely have a shot. The Rockies, hell no.
Let's go on to our next point. But yeah, we all
don't get me started on the Rockies.
We all kind of agree that salary can play a major issue in some sports success. But every now and then you get one of those dream teams that came through and can chip off one of the big dogs. And let's talk a little bit about big dogs, and we'll move over to the sport of UFC, something we really don't talk about very much, but something I feel like is so popular right now.
Big fight tonight, right?
Yeah, Khabib calling it quits though, and a very emotional way. He threw on his hat, his
That's
iconic like wool hat.
I love it.
Called it quits, and I think now we have to talk about the question is, obviously Khabib beat McGregor, but who goes down as like the most influential UFC fighter, Khabib or Conor McGregor?
All right, I'll start because I'm not a huge UFC guy. So from the perspective of a guy who doesn't know a ton, I watched some of the big fights. I didn't watch the Khabib fight.
Okay, real quick. Is it, I'm sorry, most influential or best? Like what? I'm sorry, what is your question? Sorry.
I guess we can kind of do. Let's do a little bit about both. Just talk about who's had the biggest impact, and then who you think the better pound-for-pound fighter is.
All right,
so for me,
go ahead, Jason.
Outsider, I don't know a ton about it. Like I said, I watch a big fight every now and then. Mm-hmm. When I think UFC, I think McGregor. I think that's how the very casual fan sees it. Just because he's in the headlines, he had that big fight with Mayweather. Is he the best fighter? I don't know. If you guys might know a little bit more about UFC than me, but I think he's the most influential just because of his name value.
I'll give you that. Like, you think UFC, of course, yeah, McGregor for sure. I will definitely give you that as far as name recognition. I watch UFC a little bit. I know enough to be dangerous. Not, you know what I mean. Not an expert or nothing by far.
Yeah.
The Khabib thing, man, it almost brought me to tears, yo.
It was pretty sad talking about his dad.
Yeah, man, that was beautiful to see. He, you know what I mean. After he won, he stopped his corner from cheering all crazy, got down on his knees, and just was so emotional about his dad and everything. And that was beautiful to see. And for him to call it up like that, I get it. I totally respect it. He doesn't feel like he wants to go. He can go on without his dad because his dad was always there. Get it. Totally understand that. As far as the best, I think I'm gonna have to roll with John Jones, man. I understand his outside of the ring stuff, but man, as far as the people he's beat, and you know what I mean, and he's just dominating. I'm gonna have to go with Jones being the best, then probably George St. Pierre.
Yeah. You're dropping it back a few years. I like it.
I mean, shit, I'm in my 40s, yo. I'm old. I'll take you back to Ken Shamrock and Tank Abbott and all them, Dan Severn if you want me to, but
before it became super popular.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I mean, McGregor, I don't think he fought enough of the top fighters. He fought a lot of the popular fighters, but as far as like the top ones, I can't give him the best over Khabib. No, hell no, definitely not over Khabib. I'd say Khabib is maybe third or fourth all time.
Yeah. And I mean, I saw something from Dana White talking about it this week that he thinks Khabib's going to unretire to try and go 30-0, which,
I saw that.
yeah, I just don't know. I think, he was so emotional, but it is one of those things, like in hindsight, you can be that way. And then you think, well, I could come back, or money starts getting a little tight. And you're like, if I still got it, I can give it a try type of thing. Yeah. But no, yeah, I think it was a pretty special moment for UFC. And he's one of those guys that, does it the right way. And
he's one of the good guys, man.
I don't know if you watched the end of the fight, but like Justin Gaethje, who was actually wrestled. Yeah, I think it's Gaethje that actually wrestled at the University of Northern Colorado in college. But he came over and
no wonder he lost.
after he got tapped out, he came over and just embraced him just because he knew it was such an emotional thing for him.
Yeah.
All right. Quick question: do you guys watch boxing much?
Mm-hmm.
I started watching more.
Did you watch the Lomachenko-Teofimo Lopez fight?
That fight was beautiful, wasn't it?
Man, what a fight! Beautiful. I love that.
Beautiful.
That kid he's next up.
He's incredible. Yo, tonight is Gervonta Davis is fighting. I'm not gonna think of his name right now. I apologize, but that's gonna be a good fight. Back to UFC. Sorry, Anderson Silva, I think, is fighting his last fight tonight.
Oh, he's still in it? I've heard of that name. Okay.
Yeah, I remember
he's fighting his last
Spider?
fight.
What do they call him? The guy that broke his leg kicking that dude?
Yep. You remember he had that nasty leg break?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, I remember that fight. Yeah. But yeah,
that brings me back to my boy that I met in Wichita, Tito Ortiz.
Oh, Tito Ortiz.
I remember that name.
Yeah, the something from Venice. I forget, the Menace from Venice or something like that. I think they used to. I don't remember for sure, but yeah.
What boxing fight are you talking about tonight? There's a couple. There's one in Vegas, like Inyolo versus Jason Maloney. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about. Boxing fight.
No, Gervonta Davis versus
Oh yeah, Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santana Cruz.
Yes, yo. Yeah. That's gonna be a fight because Cruz, he's a pit bull. He's a dog. He's gonna like come at him. You know what I mean? But Gervonta Davis, he's a Floyd Mayweather. He's in that team.
Because I was going to say, it says right here that Davis is the World Boxing Association lightweight title holder, and Santa Cruz is the junior lightweight title holder.
Okay, that'll be good.
Yeah, so I think
young kid trying to come out of old grizzly vet.
Look
at us talking about sports that aren't mainstream. Come on, we got range on this show.
Right. Hockey?
Well,
hockey? No. Oh, okay.
Hey, the Avs have like the most stacked roster of all time, and
let's go, baby!
To win Stanley Cup for like the next 3 years. So there's your hockey.
Well, all right.
Hockey chat for the day. But anything else you guys want to talk about? We moved through it pretty good pace there.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I mean, it's been a very interesting sports season, man, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely one we'll never forget, I don't think.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Shout out to the Pac-12 starting football next weekend. Go Buffs. You know what it is. That's all I got.
Got to get that money, baby.
Buffs. Let me throw this in there.
Get that money.
Buffs starting quarterback is a converted safety.
Yeah, it's a long
story. Started
story.
His college career as a safety.
He did not start his college career as a safety.
He came in, right?
Last year, we needed depth at safety. He wasn't getting time at quarterback. We put him at safety. And then he transferred because he wanted to play quarterback somewhere else. And then we come on back and play quarterback. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a long year.
All right.
Shout out
Go
Mel
get
Tucker.
Shout out. Go get it, young man.
No, don't say Mel Tucker's name on this podcast ever again.
They just beat Michigan today.
Did they really?
Yeah, Michigan. They beat 13th ranked Michigan on the road.
God, I hate that guy. I hate you, Mel Tucker.
All right, boys, let's wrap this thing up. A lot of sports coming up in the next couple of weeks. Sure, we'll have plenty to talk about with, college, well as college football, and, whether the NBA is going to start on time, what that's going to look like. The draft's on November 18th, so that's only like 2.5 weeks away. Maybe talk a little LaMelo Ball and see who we think is going to be the top pick. But I appreciate you guys jumping on. Another good show in the books.
Definitely, man. Yep. A lot of fun.
Happy Halloween, y'all.
See y'all again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us here on the Coulda Been Great Show.